Hello, spiritual seeker. This is Deepa Liu, and I'm the creative mystic. And I ring this bell to awaken you to your divine presence that's within you. I invite you at the beginning of every podcast when you hear that bell ringing to really just take a moment, to center yourself, to feel that divine presence that you truly are. Because we're all one. We're all actually spiritual beings, but we get so busy into the day to day, what we have to do, what we have to get done, that we forget this. So my spirit guide portal, Mother Mary of Unconditional Love, which is her here today, volunteered and said she wanted to come and talk some about the feeling of loss, the feeling of being alone and lonely, and mostly about alone and lonely. She really came to me and wanted to talk about that. I don't know what she has to say, but one of the great things about my spirit guide portals is, these are portals, doorways to divine presence. And I use that term divine presence because, you know, spirit shows up in many forms. Mother Mary's one of them, as you can see on my other spirit guide portals in the back. They show up to give blessings, to give intuitive guidance, to give you insight, to help you have that shift in the way you look at things, in your perspective, and what often people call your consciousness, because our consciousness creates everything. So Mother Mary came to me today saying she really wanted to talk about this feeling of being alone or lonely, where it creates sadness. Sometimes we're alone and we really love it because we need some time for ourselves. But when you have that feeling of loneliness, of being alone, like there's no one there for you, that's what she wanted me to talk about today. So I'm going to check in with her and find out what she has to say. One of the things I love about my spirit guide portals is they kind of always zero in. And if you're listening to this today, it must be something that's relevant for you, that maybe you've had times of feeling lonely or alone. And that's one of the things that they do, is they kind of zero in, on the very thing that maybe you're having a challenge with, that you need some help with, that you need some guidance on how to maybe see it a little different, how to have a shift in your consciousness. That's one of the great things I love about when I mentor my individual clients, my mentoring clients, is that they come and support each of my individual clients with zeroing in on the very issue they're having. So if you're showing up today to listen to this podcast or watch the video on YouTube, whichever way is your favorite form, it must be something significant for you. All right, so let's check in with Mother Mary Unconditional Love. I'm going to tune into her vibration. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to kind of view, and I always ask you to kind of stare into the image of the spirit guide that's here with us today. So Mother Mary of Unconditional Love has come today to talk with you about the feelings of loneliness, of being alone. And so let me check in with her and tune in to what she has to share with you. So, what Mother Mary is saying is that she's saying if you're feeling lonely or alone and it's making you sad, she's saying that it's actually a sign that it's time for you to do something new and different. She's saying one of the things that happens when we feel alone or lonely, to the point of where we feel some sadness or like something's missing in our life, is that we need to actually go out and make connection. Now, you might be saying, oh, that's obvious, but how do I make connection? And what she's talking about is, she's talking about connection, not with necessarily other people. It can be, but she's talking about that divine connection. She's saying that you have been feeling like you're something less than deserving, to connect with your higher self, to connect with that spiritual realm that's around you all the time. Because she's here saying that your spirit guides are with you all the time, and you may have a specific spirit guide that's with you 24/7. But she's saying that there's ones with you all the time that are here to help support you in taking your next step. And when we start to feel alone and lonely, like we have not, we're not feeling motivated and taking a step into our holy calling or into our next purpose that we have. Because one of the things she wants me to talk about here, is this is making more sense now, is that one of the reasons why we feel alone or lonely is that we're not actually engaged in our lives of what our next step of growth is, our next purpose that we're supposed to step into. And especially this whole concept of holy calling has really been resonating with me, and it's been coming to me from the guides, my spirit guides, about how, one, I need to step into my holy calling, but she's here to share with you how you need to step into your holy calling. She's really talking about the importance of this holy calling, and about really it's the time period on the planet that we all need to step into this holy calling. And when you step into that holy calling, that feeling of loneliness and alone will then diminish and dissipate. Now, she's wanting me to explain a little bit what the holy calling is, for those of you who don't know what that is. Your holy calling is your purpose, but it's more than that, because one of the things that she wants me to share with you is how I always talk about you have purposes. So you have more than one purpose in your life. It could be that as you go through your life, something transforms and changes. Sometimes when you're a mother of young kids, that's your purpose, is to be the best mom you can be. And as they grow up, that starts to transform. You start to realize that you have more to do in life. And sometimes you have more to do in life even when you have small kids, okay? But and so you step into that next purpose, that purpose that you have, whether it's to be the best mother, and then maybe it's to go do something and become a teacher, or to go build wells in another country. But then when you start to think about something bigger than just yourself, that's something that's going to positively impact more people in the world, that's your holy calling. Your holy calling is something that is going to impact and bring something positive to the world, that is actually transformational. Now, that transformation could be one person's life that then will have a more significant transformation on the world, because maybe it's just that one person that's going to step in and make some huge change. But that's your holy calling. Your holy calling encompasses something that's a purpose that really speaks to you, that's true in your heart, and that positively impacts the world. So she's saying this feeling of loneliness and alone comes because you're disconnected from people that you have in your life. But most importantly, she's saying you're feeling disconnected from spirit, from your higher power, that somehow you're feeling like your higher power, your spirit guides aren't there for you. And that's why that feeling of loneliness comes to you. And so it's really important at that point, she's saying, that you start to develop a practice of connecting with your higher power on a regular basis. So she's recommending daily, but if that seems like overwhelming to you, then she's saying at least do it weekly, where you take some time. A lot of people take what they call a Sabbath, or they go to church on Sundays. Whatever your spiritual path is, there's no rule of how you have to do it. And this is what Mother Mary really wants you to get, is she really wants you to let go of all the rules, because the rules, she says, are keeping you stuck in this loneliness. If you have a lot of rules you live by, she's saying that it's time to let go of the rules, because the rules are keeping you stuck in a paradigm that's making you feel as if you are alone. And she's really wanting you to start to connect with your higher power, with your spirit guides. So she's wanting me to share with you, like, my main spirit guide is Mother Mary. Spirit guides show up to me in many forms, as you can see behind me: the heart chakra angel, Yogananda, the sword of light. I have healing hands. These are all different spirit guides that come to me to help with different blessings, to help my clients with different blessings, to help, the big blessing they come with is the blessing of awareness and consciousness shift, so that you can start to understand and yourself better, understand how things work in the world better, the true spiritual laws that are operating. She's saying that the loneliness and a feeling of alone is because you've become absent from your own holy calling, your own purpose that you really truly need to connect with. And your connection with spirit. Now, I've had people say to me, and she wants me to share this with you because she's telling me to share this about faith and fear. You know, people will tell me, "Oh, I have great faith. I have great faith," but yet they worry all the time about, are they safe? Are they going to have enough money? Or is this or that? You know, and I tell people, faith and fear are not do not exist at the same moment at the same time. So if you're worrying, you're not in faith. And if you have faith, you will trust that Divine Mother has your back. You will trust and have a level of inner peace and calmness, you know. And so if you're feeling alone and lonely, where you feel like you don't know what is going to happen in your life, you feel like you don't have anybody you can really depend on, all those are signs of lack of faith. And so, what she's recommending is that you start, like I said, to have a practice every day of connecting with your specific spirit guide that you resonate with the most. So, if it's Divine Mother in some form, maybe it's Our Lady of Guadalupe or Kuan Yin or you know, Tara, you know, it could be whatever path you have. It could be that there is no form, but you connect with the divine presence, energy, and consciousness in the world. You know, where you intentionally sit down and meditate to make that inner connection of that higher self that's within you. You know, to sit down, and when I say meditate, it doesn't have to necessarily be a silent meditation. You know, it could be well, it could be a walking meditation where you connect with that higher self. It could be you do a mantra or a chant where it centers you so you can actually sense and feel your inner um, spiritual self that's there. And so she's asking you to develop a practice for you. Now, if you're looking for some different ideas, she's telling me to share this with you. You can definitely reach out to me. I have different forms and different methods. It's one of the things I help people with in my spiritual success coaching is some who are looking for different ways to deepen their connection with their higher power, and how do you actually, you know, as you deepen that connection, how do you step in to your holy calling? Because I always tell people, your spirit guides, you have ones that are with you, you know, all the time. And then there are these specific spirit guides that come in to help you with stepping into that next step of growth, of overcoming a challenge. And so she's saying, if you have that feeling of loneliness and alone, that you haven't been engaged in connecting with what's true in your heart and what your holy calling is. And so you have to start to take a step back of, how do I start to deepen my connection with my spiritual higher power so that I can feel like I'm not alone? Because that's really the true not alone. It's not in having a relationship with another person, which, if that's what you desire, that's perfectly okay, because I'm, you know, married in a relationship, and I love to have connection with my wife, okay? But the true connection is when I sit down in my morning spiritual practices and evening spiritual practices, where I connect with spirit, with God. You know, when I meditate and I can feel that all knowingness, that presence on the inside. So she's asking you, if you're hearing this, that you take a moment each day, even if all you have is a minute to connect, to do a little prayer of connecting with that spirit guide, with the higher power of God, Allah, Buddha, whatever path you believe in, okay? To take that moment to bring your energy inward, take a deep belly breath, and just focus your energy into the center of your heart, and asking yourself to connect consciously with your spirit guide, with God, and knowing that you are one, that you are not alone, that God is here for you, that your spirit guide is here for you, and that you're listening. And just say, I'm listening. I know you're here. And as you do that practice, just pay attention to what you sense. Does anything pop in your head? Do you get a feeling somewhere in your body? And know that whatever you're sensing is spirit coming to you, okay? And acknowledge that connection. Acknowledge that you're not alone, that you have that oneness, all right? If this resonates with you, love to have you subscribe, comment, and love to hear shares, love to hear when you do this practice that Mother Mary's recommending, what happens for you, all right? Remember, greatness is within you. It's time to let it out. Blessings.